All right, it is the Sports Mashup number 57, March 30th, final one of March. It seems like the months are really flying by here. So we're almost into April. Baseball season will start next week. We'll have full predictions for the baseball season next Wednesday because the season starts next Thursday. So we'll talk about all of that. I think we'll start in the NBA, though, as we usually do, which is where John Morant will be reevaluated in 2 weeks for his knee. I assume he's going to be ready for the playoffs. The thing with Memphis is that they're 16-2 without him, right? So people will say, well, they'll be fine without him. But I think when you get to the playoffs, you're really going to need him.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need that superstar presence.
Yep.
I forgot what game it was. It might have been last week. I bet on the Nets to beat Memphis by 1. Yeah. And they didn't have John Morant, so I thought that was a gimme. It was at Memphis, so I'm like, oh, Kyrie, everyone's back. Easily win that. And then they had some bench player go off for like 30.
Yep. Yeah, they're good. I mean, I don't know what they'll be in the playoffs. They kind of remind me of the Suns last year, except I don't know if they'll get to the finals. So we'll see. Something I'd never heard of, to be honest. Dean Wade, didn't know if that was a real person or not. Cavaliers forward, apparently. Season-ending knee surgery to repair a torn meniscus. So he's gone. Cavs are still a playoff team.
You never heard of Dean Wade? Everyone always wondered when they see him on like the box score and it says D Wade that they think Dwayne Wade came out of retirement and signed with the Cavs.
Dwayne Wade did play with the Cavs at the end, didn't he?
Yeah. Dean Wade is a white player. Don't remember where he went to college.
It is easy to forget that Dwayne Wade was on the Bulls.
Yep.
As well as the Cavs. But, I mean, Dean Wade, I'm going to look up here on Basketball Reference.
But it's nuts that he has season-ending knee surgery, but then the Celtics center, Robert Williams, out for several weeks minimum with a torn meniscus. So they both have torn meniscus. One's having season-ending injury or surgery. The other one may be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably different levels of it, I would assume. Dean Wade went to K-State, by the way. So shout out. I don't think he was drafted, but whatever. Yeah, Robert Williams is a big loss because he's a great defender at the 5.
And that's like what we talked about either last week or 2 weeks ago about these teams that are playoff teams that might not have a actual 5-man that defends these guys like the Mavs and such. And if the Celtics lose him, that's a big key. Like, yeah, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can do all they can, but they can't defend the 5.
Yeah, I think matchups is going to be a big part of this for the Celtics if he's not ready to go in the first round. I mean, you look at the East and, Embiid obviously is a big threat. Adebayo is a bit of a smaller center, so I think they could handle him for Miami.
Where it stands right now, where would who would the Celtics play?
They're the 1 right now, I believe. So they would play a play-in team. So that would mean that they would let's give you a scenario. Well, they're actually down to the okay. This is why this makes no sense. 2 days ago, the Celtics were the 1.
No, they were 4.
Yeah, Sunday they were the 1 because the Suns beat the Sixers. Now they're the 4, so they play Chicago. Vucevic probably be a bit of a problem for them. So that just shows you how cluttered the East is at the top. There's really no dominant force. I don't think there's a dominant force in the entire league other than Phoenix.
How many teams making now? 6 or 8?
Well, you have the top 6 seeds, and then you have the play-in tournament. So 7 versus 8, 9 versus 10. The winner of 7 versus 8 gets the 7 seed, and then the loser of 9 versus 10 is out. The loser of 7 versus 8 plays the winner of 9 versus 10 for the 8 seed. So, for example, let's say the Hawks beat the Hornets. The Hawks would be in the second play-in tournament game. Let's say the Nets beat the Cavs. Nets would be the 7 seed, and then the Hawks would play the Cavs for the 8 seed, for example. So
there's 9 teams.
Well, there's 8 teams at the end of it, but there's 9 after the first play-in tournament round.
But then the 1 would play the lowest seed, right? So they'd play the 8.
One would play the 8, and the 8 would be the winner of the 9 versus 10 matchup versus the 7 versus 8, and the winner of that game would be the 8 seed.
So then the 8 would play, as right now, the Heat.
Yeah. So like the example I mean, if the Nets beat the Cavs in 7 versus 8, the Nets get the 8 seed or the 7 seed, and then the Cavs would play, let's say, the Hawks, who would beat the Hornets. Cavs-Hawks winner against the 8 seed.
Yeah, so the Nets would play the Bucks.
Yeah.
If they won their 7-8.
Yeah. Or the Cavs. If the Cavs won, they'd play the Bucks. So and the Nets would go to the next game.
So the Celtics would play the Bulls, which the Bulls don't really have a 5. I mean, Vucevic kind of plays like a spread 5.
Yeah, I think it depends on the style that the Bulls would want to play. I mean,
all that right there between 2 and 4, a half a game apart.
Yeah, it could end up really anywhere. They lost tonight to Miami, so that was a big factor.
And the Y is the clinch division. So Miami clinched their division. Already have the Pacers, Pistons, and Magic are eliminated. Memphis clinched their division. Mavs clinched the playoff berth. The Suns clinched best league record.
Yeah.
So how many more weeks are left in the season? How many games they play in the NBA?
82. I know the Suns will have 6 left after tonight.
Yeah, because they're at 75 tonight, 76. So
a couple weeks.
Yeah, next week we'll have more.
April 16th is when the playoffs start.
So next week we'll have more realization on what the playoffs may look like.
I think the big question in the West is, did the Lakers get into the play-in tournament? Because I believe they're 11th right now.
They're sitting at 10.
Oh, they're back down to 10. They were 11 yesterday.
They're a half a game ahead of the Spurs.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, last night they sat Anthony Davis and LeBron against the Mavs.
Here's the thing with the Lakers. They're going to be the 9 or the 10 if they get in. Can they win 2 games in a row? They would have to win 2 games in a row to get the 8 seed.
And
I don't think they could do that.
They're a game behind the Pelicans.
I don't think that they could do that.
I didn't know the Pelicans were going to be in the conversation there, but they're in the conversation.
Yep, they are.
And the Trailblazers have struggled ever since getting rid of CJ McCollum.
Yeah, it's been a really, really bad year for them.
I think what's his name? Who's their superstar?
Lillard?
Yeah, I think he's been hurt.
Yeah, I think he's done for the year.
Yeah, last night the Mavs beat the Lakers by 18. Luka had 34 points, 12 rebounds, 12 assists.
They had about 80 points in the first half. The Lakers literally played no defense, and LeBron's out.
What is it? Was it Malik Monk from?
Yeah.
He had 28. Russell Westbrook had 25, and Stanley Johnson.
He was a lottery pick.
Where did he go to college?
Stanley Johnson. I want to say like Arizona or something.
Yeah, Arizona.
Oh, what a poll by me.
He had 16, and then their bench.
8th overall pick, 2015.
You sit LeBron and AD, and Carmelo doesn't even start the game.
They stink. I mean, I don't even want to waste time with the Lakers. Real quick with the Pistons injury, Jeremy Grant out for the year. They're done anyway, so calf strain. We'll see. He might be a guy that gets traded in the offseason. He's got a big contract. They're a rebuilding team. I don't know. We'll see. It's something to keep an eye on.
It's not like they out for the season because of a calf strain. Like, you can't get that figured
almost
out.
Over, and the team stinks. I mean, what's the point? Maybe they will trade him. Maybe that's why they don't want him to get hurt again.
Yeah.
It might make sense for the Lakers. I don't know.
James Wiseman, right?
Yep.
He will not rejoin the Warriors this season due to his knee issue. So
looking like a bust.
I guess rehab just has been taking longer and longer.
Some of the recent number 1 overall picks have been they haven't done anything. I know when Zion's played, he's had great numbers, but my God, I mean,
do you think he makes it back for the playoffs?
I guess. I mean, I don't know how far the Warriors can go because Steph's hurt.
The Pelicans, you mean?
Oh, yeah, the Pelicans. That's what I meant. I thought we were talking about Wiseman still. I forgot. But, I mean, Zion, I don't think he comes back at all.
I mean, if not, he wouldn't start, but I mean, he'd be a big lift off the bench, and you'd think he'd have the freshest legs of anybody.
I mean, you would think, but clearly doesn't. I mean, I guess maybe I was a little bit wrong with the number one picks. I mean, you just look at the last. Also, I forgot Wiseman went 2. I thought he went 1. But I mean, Zion, good numbers when he's healthy. DeAndre Ayton's been pretty good. Markelle Fultz is not what he was supposed to be. Ben Simmons was good until he wasn't. Cade Cunningham looks like a guy. Anthony Edwards is a guy. Anthony Bennett was atrocious. Wiggins wasn't great. Karl Anthony Towns is a stud. There was a good run of number one picks, though. D. Rose, Blake Griffin, John Wall, Kyrie, Anthony Davis. It was a good run, 8 to 12.
Yeah.
That was following Andrea Bargnani and Greg Oden. So
yeah. Which, I mean, Oden had like the Grant Hill, but he had it way earlier where just his legs were like, no.
And people have been comparing Zion to Oden, which is completely unfair because Zion has had great numbers when he plays. Oden didn't have great numbers when he played. So there you go with that.
I mean, Oden came into a pretty decent team there at Portland with LaMarcus Aldridge and those
Brandon
guys.
Roy there.
Yeah.
They could have done a little bit more damage than they did, but I guess they didn't. I mean, that back then, I mean, it was the Lakers, the Suns were good, Dallas. So those were the teams back then in the West, I guess. But anyway, Kyrie thing finally. Huh?
New York finally lifts the mandate, so now Kyrie can play the rest of the season at home. Which you have to think this was, like we discussed this week, part of into baseball.
The thing that sucks the most is that they lift the mandate for the athletes, but they won't lift the mandate for like normal people who lost their jobs due to this. It's just absurd, and it certainly feels like a money thing, doesn't it? Because I know that Steve Cohen donated a lot of money to the campaign of the New York City mayor, probably as a way to push this forward.
I mean, it had to be, because if not, like teams going in to play at with the Yankees or the Mets, you're gonna have to have them. Either everyone has to get the vaccine, or you're gonna have to be able to bring up however many minor league guys just to be able to fill the roster to play them.
I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. The fact that it took this long and that it's just politics. You know, that's what it is. And I'm glad they figured it out, because it would have been pretty disastrous for the Yankees and Mets to not have some of their really good players not play at home. And, you know, Kyrie.
Oh, yeah, because I guess it didn't matter if you came in to play them. You didn't have to be.
Yeah, that's the dumbest part of the whole thing, probably, is that.
Yeah.
And,
so, I mean, like the Mets and Yankees would have to have everyone vaccinated, or you'd have to be sending minor league guys up who are vaccinated just to play home games.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disaster. So I'm just glad they figured it out for some of these guys, and hopefully they figured it out for the normal, you know, average citizen at some point.
And then OKC's to sit guard. How do you pronounce his name? Shai
Gilgeous-Alexander.
For the rest of the year with an ankle injury.
Now's when they take a step forward. They got $1 billion draft picks, ton of cap space, ton of young talent. They need to get a couple guys around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey and Lou Dort. That's a nice team, nice young core. They got like 20-something draft picks in the first round over the next 4 or 5 years. So this summer is a big one.
That's a team who could use a big guy.
Yeah.
May possibly a stretch 4.
Yeah, I mean, they have Darius Baisley and Alexej Palzugologivsky or whatever his name is. So they got those two at the 4, but they don't have a 5. I think they've had Derek Favors playing the 5 for some of the season. He's like 32, so that's kind of, you know, that's not a long-term thing.
Yeah, so depending on where they're at this year in the draft, I mean,
they're going to be top 3 or 4, I guarantee it, honestly.
There's got to be a lot of
Bonchero would be a great fit for them if he was there for them. Him or Jabari Smith would be great fits. Two guys that play the four. One's different than the other. Jabari's more of like a defending, lengthy, pretty good shooter type. Paolo's more of a banger inside.
I was thinking more of a 5. I mean, they could get
Chet.
They could get that dude from Arkansas.
I mean,
was Jamal Williams?
Jalen Williams. Chet Holmgren might be there for them if they want him. Guy that plays the 5. Very skinny, though, so who knows how that would work.
He's got to get some more weight or muscle on him.
I think he can, but I don't know if he does as much in the NBA anymore, though. I don't think he has to.
I mean, it comes down, like if he's playing the 5 and he's defending a banger post player, they're just going to muscle him anywhere.
I agree.
Pelican signed point guard Jose Alvarado from a 2-way contract to a multi-year deal. Goes for the rest of this season and through next year. A non-guaranteed 2023 through 2024 contract and a team option for 24 through 25. He becomes extension eligible in March of 2024.
Well-deserved, great defender, great guard. He was a stud at Georgia Tech. He's definitely a guy that's going to be a perfect number 2 point guard on any team.
It's just a weird way that they structured that contract.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but I guess they don't know what the future holds, but he's good enough to stick around for now, and the potential's there, I'm sure. One of the best defenders in the ACC when he was at Georgia Tech last year, so defending guards at least. So that's good. I think that's the most time we've ever spent in the NBA, so that's enough of that. We shift over to the NFL.
I'm sure in the next couple weeks we'll be getting more and more with playoffs.
And less NFL probably as well, but there's still some stuff going on in the NFL, which is the what you wrote in here, the law office of Marquez, Valdez, and Scantling signs with the Chiefs a 3-year deal, 30-something, I believe. I don't know how much is guaranteed, but I mean, they got Juju and MVS there now, kind of a new 1-2. They also got a couple other guys there still.
Still got Josh Gordon on the roster.
Yeah, he'll be cut in like August probably, if I had to guess. But
I mean, he does have a best name there for his nickname to be the law office.
That's fair. That's a totally fair point. And this contract, I think, me being a Packer fan, I would say I'm perfectly okay with the Packers not doing this, but I'd also like to see them add somebody. I'm almost positive they're going to draft a receiver with one of their first 4 picks. I won't say one of their first 2 picks, but I think they will, but I'm not going to guarantee that.
Because, I mean, you lost Devontae Adams to the Raiders, Scantling to the Chiefs. Who was the other one you lost? You lost one to the Bears.
Equinemi is St. Brown, but they still have, Lazard, who's a great blocker, and Cobb is still useful. Amari Rodgers is there. It's not good enough. They're going to add somebody. I think they'll add at least a free agent, whether it's if Jarvis Landry if he eventually doesn't get overpaid like he wants.
We'll get to that, the free agents that are still left.
Yeah. All right. Trevor Siemian, 2-year deal with the Bears to be the backup to Justin Fields. Siemian, Northwestern guy, I believe, so good fit. Then you also had the Cowboys hire Brian Schottenheimer to help on both sides of the ball, so, staying old school in some way.
Yeah.
Smart signing by the Patriots here. Jabril Peppers, 1-year deal with New England, up to $5 million. Very talented player, somebody I think Bill can get the best out of.
It's weird, too. Like, he came into the league as a corner. He played corner. He played like a hybrid corner kind of at Michigan, where sometimes he'd be like – he was like an outside linebacker. He'd be on the line as an edge rusher. And then he got drafted, I think, his first year he played at corner, and now he's rotated to being a safety.
I mean, I think Bill can get the most out of him if anybody can. And I think it's a smart signing.
Yeah. And then you have the NFL came out and said all teams must hire a minority offensive coach.
Yeah, if they don't have one already, I assume. Is that how it is, or they just have to hire one?
I'm sure if they have one on their coaching staff already, I don't think they have to hire one. It's just if you don't, you have to. I don't know if this also rule goes into effect like goes into effect this year, or it's hey, by next year you have to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being the case either way. But
I mean, I hate that they had to make this rule. I mean, they already have the rule where if you're interviewing for a jobs position, you have to interview 3 minority coaches. It almost feels like this was a political type move as well.
I don't know what to make of it. I think most teams already have one. So I don't know. Deshaun Hamilton.
Yeah. I think he was a Penn State guy who is leaving another Penn State receiver at Denver, going to the Texans.
Yep, fill-in guy.
And he's a speedster. That sucks for Russell Wilson losing him because, Russell Wilson, he has Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler. Who didn't they sign a tight end?
Who? Denver?
Yeah.
They lost one.
Yeah, they lost Noah Fant
to Seattle.
Who did Austin Hooper sign with?
Tennessee.
Yeah, so I'm not sure who their tight end is there, but
Alberto.
Russell Wilson, he's still got weapons there. Just Deshaun Hamilton going to Texans.
They like Albert Okwuegbunam, SHG kid, by the way. They like him enough to have him as a new tight end, getting rid of Fant. Sacred Heart Griffin, that's pretty cool, right? 2 NFL players went to SHG. That's big time for the area.
Yeah, and then I thought when I was looking at depth charts that the Packers had that Malik.
They had him for like a week. I don't know where he's at now. Is he Dallas? He was in Dallas last year.
Yeah, no, I looked. This was the other day. I was looking at depth charts.
Maybe they brought him back to training camp or something.
What's his last name?
Malik Turner.
Oh, maybe it was a different Malik.
Malik Taylor.
Yeah.
Malik Turner was with Dallas last year, I remember.
Another SHG guy.
Yeah.
Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit to call Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime.
Money. Big time. I think Herbstreit will be fine. I don't think people complaining about it. How can you do both?
Herbstreit's also still doing both. He's still doing the college game day and stuff.
He'll be fine. I don't care that he never played in the NFL either. He knows football. He's a football guy.
So is Thursday Night Football only going to be available to watch through Amazon Prime, or?
I think that's the case, yeah. But I wonder if they'll still have the guys on Twitch that re-stream it. You can watch it on Twitch. I don't know if they'll still be doing that, but it's an interesting one for sure.
Ronald Jones, ex-Buck, to the Chiefs on a 1-year deal.
I think it's a good fit. I think it's a good fit to go behind CEH.
Well, when I read Andy Reid saying that they're going to use Ronald Jones as a workhorse, so I don't know if
you got to keep Clyde Edwards-Helaire healthy.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to limit his touches. That's going to be a big fantasy football decision. I had Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year, and when he got hurt, he'd have games where they'd feed him the ball, and then they'd have games where they barely would do anything with him. They lost their 2 other running backs who filled in when he was hurt. But now, it opens up the Bucks. They now have Fournette, Keyshawn Vaughn. I forgot who their little flex running back is. And then you have former LSU and Washington football team running back Darius Geis, he was a high draft pick, right?
Feels like he was a second-round guy, but I don't remember.
He's working out, trying to make an NFL return.
Only 24, so I know he had the whole legal issues and such.
Was it legal thing, or did he get like a bad injury?
Strangulation, assault, battery, destruction of property, 3 separate domestic violence incidents, rape accusations as well. 74-year-old woman accused him of sexual harassment. So, not good. LSU disassociated themselves from him, banning him from the athletics program indefinitely. Also removed all of his statistics from the record books. I don't think anybody's going to want him back.
You never know.
He was damn good, though, too. 1,300 yards, 2016, 1,200 in 2017. Second round pick.
Greg the Leg Zerline cut by Dallas. Signed almost instantly after being cut with the Jets.
They also got Eddie Pinheiro there with the Jets, too, so maybe a little competition between the two.
The Saints add Andy Dalton to the quarterback mix. Move Taysom Hill. He's slotted on the depth chart as a tight end.
I think Andy Dalton's going to be the starter week 1.
Because, they say quarterback mix, but it's what? Just Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston, and then Taysom Hill's going to do
the Bears and Saints essentially swapped quarterbacks with Simeon and Dalton. So, yeah.
Simeon, Northwestern runs a weird offense. He was in like an RPO, but they run like a weird RPO. So, he wasn't really an NFL quarterback coming out of college. And then he got thrown in Denver. He got thrown into Denver, and then they had their whole quarterback fiasco up there.
Yeah, that's true.
The Niners GM John Lynch said no plan to release Garoppolo.
I could see him being on the roster the further this goes.
He's on the roster, right? He's still got 1 year left on his contract.
I could see him staying, yeah. What's Carolina going to do? Probably draft a guy at this point.
You still have Seattle without a...
I think they're going to go with Drew Lock.
It's that or...
draft.
Who was there? Geno Smith? Is he still there?
Yeah.
So, there's still spots where people need a quarterback.
What the hell's going to happen to Baker Mayfield? I don't see how you can have him on the roster under any circumstances.
Does Atlanta still needs a quarterback?
They signed Mariota.
Oh, yeah. They reunited him with his former coach, Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
When he was in Tennessee.
Yeah.
The NFL tweaks overtime rules, but only for the playoffs. Each team gets a guaranteed possession. So even if Ethan's team scores a touchdown on the first drive, my team gets a chance to score.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on this rule, to be honest. I thought I would have an opinion. It screwed the Packers over a couple times, but there's also the argument of, hey, you got to get a stop, and I agree with that, but that's a tough one. I don't really have an opinion on that. I don't know.
The only way it ends if Ethan's team is the team, they kick off to me, and then they get a safety, then the game's over because there'd be no point. They'd be ahead. My team would then kick it off to Ethan's team, and they had the possession.
It's a rarity,
That's the only way that happens.
Yeah.
I think there was 8 or 10 people that were in this group, and one had said, I think it was the Titans, proposed that if the first team scored and then scored a 2-point conversion, the game was instantly over. So, that was a different one. Because that'd be nuts, like scoring a touchdown half when you scored a 2-point conversion. And if not, the other team got the ball and then they just had to score a touchdown and make the field goal. Yeah, the regular season stays the same. If first team scores a touchdown, it's over. The NFL draft is just under a month away as it starts April 28th and ends on the 30th. This year's draft is in Las Vegas.
Plenty to discuss over the next few weeks about the draft. kind of an unpredictable one. Usually things get a little bit tighter. People kind of know what's going on by the time that happens. I assume the number 1 pick is going to be Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. So I think that's like a done deal.
Maybe Alvin Kamara should not represent the Saints at this draft since the last time he was in Vegas.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, for sure.
Then breaking news today that happened, it would have happened after we recorded when we normally do. The Bucs coach Bruce Arians steps away from coaching, moves to the front office. Todd Bowles is now named the head coach, who right after the season he interviewed with the Bears and
multiple teams, right?
It was the Bears and the Vikings for a head coaching position.
Yeah.
Which everyone also thought he interviewed with Jacksonville for the head coach position, but I believe he interviewed for the defensive coordinator, and Byron Leftwich interviewed for either offensive coordinator or head coach there.
So before I say anything about this, I think we need to know what your opinion is on it.
It's confusing because, I mean, he talked about on Pat McAfee's show how if Brady came back, he was going to be a Buck, blah, blah. If not, a team was going to have to give up 5 first-round picks or something to get him because he was still signed for this year, and didn't make any inclination that he was done coaching. And just the timing of it.
Yeah, I think the timing of it is the surprising thing because he retired from the Cardinals and stopped coaching.
That was during his health issues, right?
Yeah.
And he said that this has nothing to do with his health and everything. But I mean, you just got Brady back. You just re-signed Jensen. You got guard Shaq Mason from the Patriots and all these other guys. You signed Logan Ryan to be your safety with Winfield.
So here's what I think. I think before the statement, or upon reading the statement, I think it sounds like Brady coming back made him more likely to stop and to quit, because he said he always wanted to leave the team in assistants' hands, and when it was in a good place, and it's in a much better place with Brady as the quarterback than not as the quarterback. So Brady goes back, everything's still stable. He's going to the front office, which is going to be a much easier job for him on a day-to-day basis.
And he's still going to be around the team.
Yeah.
He's going to be in meetings. He's going to, be at practices.
Great opportunity for Todd Bowles too. Second go around.
Now the question is, do they have to bring in another defensive coordinator, or is he going to be head coach and still call the defensive plays?
Well, I think they'll bring in and they'll have another defensive coordinator no matter what. He just probably won't call plays. I don't know, though. I don't know. Bulls probably will call it. Not sure, though. Guess depends on who they have.
In recent years, he had one of the best defensive teams. Yep. So I think it'd be tough for him to want to part with that.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, they also re-signed Will Golston, their corners. I think letting go of Whitehead to the Jets was not a big deal, but bringing in Logan Ryan, a veteran, an expatriate, is big to stand back there with Winfield.
Yeah, I think
I'm surprised it was Bowles over Leftwich, because how Arians was so big on, he thought Leftwich deserved a head coaching position somewhere.
Experience, I think, in this case. You don't really want to have Leftwich come in late March as the head coach without ever experiencing any of that.
No, and I think if he did it, they would have had to bring in an offensive coordinator to call the plays. So I don't know if Leftwich would have been able to do both. And with a lot of the high caliber offensive coordinators being signed, if they would have done this earlier and they could have got the Niners offensive coordinator, What's his name? Head coach of the Dolphins.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, if they could have got him in there as their offensive coordinator, because just how Brady loves the motion offense to see the defense, that could have been big. But I mean, we'll see how this year goes and everything. I think they also added an extension into Bull's contract, so he's going to be the head coach there for multiple years.
Yep, we'll see how it goes. Should be interesting to see.
So now did he make 6 or 8 minority head coaches now? It's in the article. I don't remember.
It's up there. It's up there around there. I mean, McDaniel does count as one, so.
The head coach of the Dolphins?
Yeah.
So what, you have him, Bowles, Tomlin.
Yeah. Lovie Smith.
Oh, yeah. And Houston.
I'm trying to go over all the head coaches in my head.
So am I.
Um,
Who's the Jets coach?
Robert Saleh. He would be one, I think. So there you go.
I mean, there's 5, and there's got to be one somewhere else. But who's the Broncos head coach?
Nathaniel Hackett.
Oh yeah, the offensive coordinator from Green Bay.
Yep. All right.
Who did the Raiders make their head
Josh
coach?
McDaniels.
Oh, that's right. The top free agents still available today. You got the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, supposedly in talks with the Raiders, who also they're trying to make it a package deal to get. He wants to go with Stephon Gilmore.
Interesting choice.
Odell Beckham Jr., Bobby Wagner, which would be a big pickup to someone who needs a linebacker.
Raiders.
You said the Raiders?
They could use him, yeah. Or the Ravens.
I mean, I'm surprised he's still unsigned. Then you got Jadeveon Clowney, Akeem Hicks, Melvin Ingram, which I'm surprised he was not re-signed to the Chiefs after the year he had.
I agree. Probably wanted too much money.
Landon Collins.
A lot of old stars on this list.
Which I believe safety from the Giants.
He was on the Commies last year.
Julio Jones. Antonio Brown, which I'm guessing no one's going to sign him.
I don't think so. Maybe in the middle of a season randomly.
Last is Gronk, who is his agent said he's still in talks with the Bucs. His only decision, he's undecided if he wants to play football anymore.
Oh, it seems like Bucs to retirement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if not, there were talks about him going to Miami. But you just re-signed Gesicki.
I think if the new NFL's taught us anything, I think every good team has more than one legit tight end.
Oh, yeah. I mean, could he be a big boost to the offense with McDaniels? Or not McDaniels, is it just Daniels?
McDaniel.
I had Josh McDaniels' name still in my head.
Yeah.
But, yeah, could he be a big boost to Miami's offense with what they've done already?
Probably not. They probably don't need him. Yeah.
But would he rather have Tom Brady still throwing in the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He doesn't need money either. He's not just going to go to a team because they offered more money. Have you seen how many endorsements he has?
Yeah, and he's got his own brand, their water bottle brand, everything that he has with his brothers.
Yeah, he's fine.
Very, very, very good-looking girlfriend.
Yep. Fair to say.
Golf.
That's where we go.
Last weekend, we weren't able to get the picks in because the tournament started Wednesday morning. The WGC Dell Technologies match play. Winner Scotty Scheffler. Didn't see anywhere on what the purse was for everybody, so we don't know how much he won. He shot 4-3 over Kisner in the finals. Kisner had a great tournament.
Yeah, he was 3 down with 4 to play against Adam Scott in the quarterfinals, and won 4 straight to move on, and then beat Corey Connors in the second or in the semifinals, and then just ran into a buzzsaw. Scotty's playing as good a golf as anybody. That's 3 wins in 5 tournaments for him. The last 5 he's played, he's won 3.
And
so he's a star.
Before that, he hadn't won in 50 tournaments.
I don't think he'd ever won on the tour before he won his.
No, that's what it was. He hadn't won in 50 tournaments, and then now he's 3 out of the last 5.
This tournament, if this tournament taught anybody anything, it's that the U.S. Ryder Cup team is going to be loaded for the next decade plus. Scotty was dominant. Kiz will get a shot at some point, I think. DJ was very good. DJ, he had an 8 straight match play win streak going until he lost to Scheffler in the semifinals. So he's been dominant.
And I know Kisner, when he played in a scramble tournament or best ball tournament with Riggs somewhere, and
Pittsburgh,
and he kept saying, like, wasn't good enough to make the Ryder Cup. Wasn't good enough to make the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I definitely think they could have replaced a Harris English or a Tony Finau with Kiz, but they didn't. I mean, Kiz is a match play wizard. You know, he's got one of the best match play records the last decade on the tour, and they just made up a bunch of course fit BS about him as to why he wasn't on the Ryder Cup team. So whatever. I mean, maybe he'll get a shot in Italy in next year. So hopefully he does.
This weekend we have the Valero Texas Open. Defending champion is
Jordan Spieth, friend of the program almost.
At TPC San Antonio, the Oaks course in San Antonio, Texas. And then Tiger was spotted practicing, or has been spotted practicing, and most recently, it was yesterday, played a full round at Augusta as if he would be practicing for the Masters.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna go ahead and believe it when I see it if Tiger actually plays the Masters, because I don't see it. So hate to be negative since everybody's all excited that he might give it a go, but I don't see it happening.
And you're like, yeah, he played a round at Augusta and he's been spotted practicing, but you still don't know the shape of how his body is.
Somebody said he looked good, allegedly. I don't know how true that is, but somebody said he looked good.
Like, I would more believe it if there's multiple videos of him playing a full round.
And walking 4 rounds, that I don't see how he could do that, because he couldn't walk when he was playing with his son. He had a cart. That was like 3-4 months ago, right? So I don't know if he's made that much progress in that time.
No, they're not going to make a special rule for him to be able to use a cart.
Yeah. So this is probably a Masters with no Tiger, no Phil, which is weird, but you know.
Yeah, but Phil is doing Phil things, and
much different reasoning between the two for sure.
NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, transfer portal, we're either at 1,000 names or over 1,000 names before the end of the tournament. It's a new age college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, when I wrote that and everything, I was like, I'm not even going to try writing names down because it's going to be way too long of a list.
Yeah, I mean, there's some big names in there for sure. Different players. You look at Terrence Shannon from Texas Tech entered. Obviously, everybody knows Andre Curbelo, preseason All-American. He entered. Just a lot of guys. We'll see. It's not going to change that much for a lot of the big-time teams. It's just the new age of college basketball.
I did see with Arkansas's big run, they signed that, or they didn't sign. They now have a 5-star recruit
Their class is sick. They have 3 5-stars, all in the top 20, and a couple of 4s as well. And I believe if they haven't surpassed Duke for the number 1 class, they're right on the doorstep. So, yeah, that team is going to be filthy. 2 McDonald's All-Americans.
I was watching the end of the first NIT semifinal game last night.
St. Bonaventure Xavier?
Yeah, and then as soon as that ended, the second game wasn't going yet, so I watched a little bit of the McDonald's All-American game.
Yep.
And then switched over to the Texas A&M. I forgot who they even played.
Texas A&M versus I had it on too. Texas A&M. Oh my God. Texas A&M. Yeah, that one slipped for sure.
I'm looking it up.
I don't know how I can't remember that because I had it on the TV too. While you're looking that up, Colgate's coach Matt Langle extended through 2030, back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. Probably will own the Patriot League because the Patriot League is like not deep at all.
Washington State.
Okay, yeah, now I remember. Yeah, so
now you'll have Xavier versus Texas A&M in the NIT final, which I believe is played.
It's got to be tomorrow or something.
Friday.
All right.
Friday, 6 o'clock.
There you go.
A&M. And of course, it'll go off if Buzz Williams, if they win that they should have been in the tournament and everything.
Yep. That will happen. The worst kept secret in college basketball, Shaheen Holloway leaves St. Peter's for Seton Hall, played at Seton Hall. Willard leaves Seton Hall for Maryland. Everybody knew this was going to happen, and it makes a lot of sense. Shaheen's a hell of a coach. That run they went on is the greatest Cinderella run in the history of the NCAA tournament, 15 seed to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, first time that's happened, right?
Hall. Yeah, great move for Seton Hall.
Which another first time, which is surprising, like we were talking about earlier, first time that Duke has played North Carolina in the NCAA tournament.
Yep, it is, fitting that it happens under these circumstances. It'd be a little bit more exciting for some, I'm sure, if Roy Williams was still on the sidelines for North Carolina. But
yeah, if he was still there, it'd be more excitement around the game.
So you got an all blue blood Final Four.
Yeah.
Villanova, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina. So we'll make picks on that later. Then we move to Major League Baseball. The Twins signing Chris Archer, who has not been good in a long time, 1-year deal, $3.5 million. And Giants third baseman Evan Longoria will be sidelined to start the season. I think it's at 6 weeks, finger surgery. So a bit of an injury there. But the Giants are very much a plug-and-play team. So I think they'll be fine.
I did have a stat, too, from the Duke Texas Tech game. In the first half of that game, they shot 37%, 27% from three, and then 4-4 from the free throw line. The second half, they shot 71%, 50% from the three-point line, and 85% from the free throw line. So the end of the game shooting 52%, 88% from the free throw line, and 37% from three.
Yeah, they couldn't miss in the second half. This is a tale of two games for sure.
Yeah, Texas Tech shot 48% in the second half, 40% from three, and 80% from line. They were – that's for the game. But – yeah.
Moving right along here.
And then the Cardinals bring back Albert Pujols, 1 year, $2.5 million.
I think we have a difference of opinion on this thing.
Well, before we get into that, when Albert made his debut on April 2nd of 2001, Oli Marmol, the new manager of the Cardinals, was 14 years old.
I mean, that is something, because Albert's 42, Marmol's 35, 36.
Well, he was 14 and
Albert was 21, I think.
if he was 14 in 2001.
35, yeah.
Yeah.
It all adds up. The math works out.
But yeah, go ahead with your opinion then.
Well, I think that it's a fine signing because you have the DH in the NL now, so he can do that. And last year's numbers speak for themselves. Like when he went to the Dodgers, he was good. He batted .290 against left-handed pitching, had 13 home runs against left-handed pitching with a .939 OPS. So they're going to use him against lefties. They're not going to overuse him. He's not going to DH every game. And he's a great clubhouse guy. He can help the young players. Carlson, we've seen Bader's offensive numbers were very good last season. If he could keep that up, he could work with guys like that. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is the fact that they're not going to be able to play or have some of the younger guys up to start the season, whether it's Juan Yepes or Nolan Gorman. But the thing with those guys is Gorman has been terrible in the spring. He'll benefit from playing AAA ball. Yepes got hit in the face today, so he needs to start in AAA anyway. So I just don't think that it's going to be something that hurts them. The only thing that would suck about this is if he was so bad that they had to release him. That would be really stupid.
Like he got hit when he was with bat.
I think he got hit by a pitch. I mean, they won by $1 billion today, so he got some reps.
Well, yeah, my buddy, he sent me a picture. He said, "Are they going to stop?" It was in the 8th when they scored 12 runs, and the score was 25-4.
Yeah, it got pretty ugly for the Nationals today. I saw Anibal Sanchez went 4 innings, gave up 10 runs.
And Pujols started in the lineup as DH. He was 1 for 3 with 4 guys left on base. And then Chambers replaced him as a pinch runner and then became a DH. And then Dickinson came in, was 2 for 2 with a walk, and had 3 runs.
Also, keep an eye out. Paul DeYoung having a huge spring. Goldschmidt is too, but DeYoung's been phenomenal. Kind of won his shortstop job back. But we'll talk more baseball, Shop. Give me your Pujols take.
My thing was I wanted them to sign a power-hitting lefty. We don't have one.
I mean, Dickerson has been that in his career. I don't know how much he can be that, but
yeah, we talked about when we signed him, like what his numbers were last year and everything, how they were so low.
I don't think there was a big market for power hitting lefties. Like they weren't going to give Schwarber the money that he got.
Well, no, I don't think that's what he needed because he would have been another guy that you could put in the outfield, but we already have enough outfielders.
Yeah, the outfield's perfectly fine right now. And the outfield prospects, there's guys that'll be ready to go behind an O'Neill, Bader, or Carlson, whoever gets hurt.
And yeah, I'm partial to him because I met him and everything, and I follow his TikTok and social medias and see that he's been working. Was Matt Adams was a guy I threw his name out.
They brought him back a few years ago. It didn't really work out, but I don't know. I think he's kind of done. And Pujols was good enough last year to where he could justify this move, making sense from a nostalgia baseball.
I get that for him coming back, and then you'll have the last year for him, Yachty and Waino, their final dance.
There's no risk to the move. That's the thing.
No, I just wish, they're going to have him for lefties.
And he'll start opening day, no doubt. There's no way he's not opening day DH.
But I just wanted the big lefty for everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think the market was very big for that. And the Dickerson thing's another low-risk thing that he somehow won a gold glove. So if an outfielder gets hurt, he could play the outfield. And he's had some good numbers in the past. But I just don't know where they would have gone with a left-handed bat.
But I think it's going to take away at bats from other guys like Newt.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I think Newt Barr is going to be another guy that DHs against lefties in certain spots, or DHs on days if they want O'Neill to not play the field or Carlson to not play the field.
Is he a switch hitter or
he's lefty?
And
right-handed fielder.
Carlson's
a switch, yeah. Yeah.
But opening day, I'm guessing it's going to be O'Neill, Bader, Carlson.
Yep.
and then Arenado, DeYoung, Edman, Goldie, Yachty.
Yep.
Waino's pitching.
Yep. Pujols is
then,
DH, no doubt.
So
he's going to bat fifth and DH. There's no way he doesn't DH. I don't care if it's a righty. It's also the Pirates, so who cares?
So who else is on the bench? Then you have
Nootbaar. They don't have the roster set yet, but
Newton Dickerson will be there for the extra outfielders.
I think there's also going to be an expanded roster to start the season because of the shortened spring training.
There is.
So I don't know if Juan Yepes makes it, right-handed bat, first baseman prospect. I'm not sure if he makes it. I'm sure people from a national standpoint who might be listening to this are enjoying our Cardinal shop talk, but we got to continue here a quick sec here. Let me look at the 40-man roster because obviously Kisner will be there, backup catcher.
Who's the backup, like third baseman and shortstop?
Well, Edmundo Sosa will be there.
Yeah.
The only two infielders other than the ones that we've named that are on the 40-man are Brendan Donovan, who's 25 and a decent bat. He's a lefty. And then obviously Yepes, I mentioned. So those guys have a chance. And then the outfield, it is just Nootbaar and Carlson. So, yeah.
Dickerson's not on that?
Oh, he is, yeah. I don't know why I said Carlson. I meant Dickerson. Yep. So we'll see what the roster looks like, and we'll preview the MLB season next week with predictions and such.
And then opening day a week from tomorrow, which by the time you might be listening to this, it will be tomorrow. So the Thursday, the 7th.
Yep, should be interesting to see. A couple NHL things real quick before we get to the picks. The Senators owner Eugene Melnick passed away at the age of 62 after a long illness. So thoughts with the Ottawa Senators organization. Very sad news there for sure. And since there's really no way to transition away from that, we'll just go to news from tonight, which was that Leon Draisaitl scored his 49th goal of the season, tying Austin Matthews atop the Maurice Richard Trophy finalists, or at least, leaders. So,
but Matthews got hurt there for a couple of games, didn't he? Where
it seems like because he had a huge lead on it.
Because we thought he was going to get to 60, right?
I mean, yeah, he could still have a chance. I mean,
that's what we discussed, but I think he got hurt or something for a couple of games.
Possible, yeah. But so we'll see how that race shakes out. Weird to not see Ovi at the top. I mean, he's got a ton of goals, but I don't think he can get there. Now we go to the picks.
Last week I went 7-5. Now 384 and 308.
Yeah, I went 5 and 7. It's been a rough go. I'm 376 and 309. It's getting ugly for me. Baseball needs to save me.
I went 1-1 in the NBA, 0-2 in hockey. I went 6-2 in CAA. I lost the Arizona game and the Purdue game. But I knew we were going to be flop because we had like 5 of the 8 college basketball games picked different.
Yeah, I was terrible. That's just all I'm going to say about that.
You had Gonzaga beating Arkansas,
Texas Tech over Duke,
and then
Purdue. Got Houston correct, got Villanova correct, and I missed Providence and Iowa State. So not good.
We almost had it. The ACC almost had 3 teams in the Final Four out of the 5 who were in the tournament.
Certainly would have been something, no doubt.
I mean, just getting 2 out of the 5 in the Final Four is, and you're guaranteed one of them's in the championship.
True, and we all know who it's going to be. So, all right, Valero Texas Open, TPC San Antonio, AT&T deal or whatever I wrote down here. I don't know why I wrote that. Oaks course, I believe.
Yes.
All right, who are your picks for all 3 categories?
To win, I have Rory plus 750, Jordan Spieth plus 1,400, and Gary Woodland at plus 3,000. My top 5 is Jason Day at plus 1,000, and top 10 Hideki Matsuyama at plus 160. And this might be the last time I ever pick him because I picked him 2 tournaments before this, and he hasn't even played in the tournament. And you go to look at it, He's on the DraftKings list if he's playing in the odds. And then you go to his name, and there's no news that he dropped out or anything. So they just put his stats in there and his odds, and he wasn't even playing in the tournament.
What can you do? You got screwed. So that's all that is. And all right, my picks to win: Hideki Matsuyama plus 1,400, Bryson DeChambeau plus 2,800, and Ricky Fowler plus 6,500. He needs to get back in the winner's circle. Defending champ, friend of the program, Jordan Spieth plus 300, top 5, and Rory plus 120, top 10. So Rory has great odds for this tournament. So we'll see how that shakes out.
We got 3 out of our 5 same picks, just different spots.
Yep. All right. NBA picks and NHL picks for Thursday action.
NBA, I have the Nets -1 over Milwaukee, and the Clippers plus 3.5 over the Bulls. Which the only reason I picked that game was they still don't have Zach LaVine.
We're complete opposites, by the way. I have Bulls -3.5, Nets -1. So, big games.
Yeah. I mean, the Nets-Bucks game, as we looked at earlier, that could be first-round matchup for them.
Could be. It's a nightmare for both sides.
NHL, the odds were all big odds for tomorrow's games. I took the Bruins -250 over the Devils and the Stars -165 over the Ducks. I tried picking the lowest spread numbers, but I mean, there was some that were -675 and.
Yeah, I'm taking some dogs here. Jets plus 175 at the Leafs and the Penguins plus 100 at the Wild. So a couple of dogs. Why not throw it out there? See what sticks.
I did look at that Pittsburgh game because that was one that was a really low or kind of an even spread.
It's a closer one, yeah. All right, Final Four. Who are your picks?
I'm taking Kansas over Villanova. I just think their size.
Villanova only has 5 guys. They don't have a bench. Justin Moore goes down. That's a huge loss. It's going to be really hard for them.
They finally came out and said he was a torn Achilles.
Yeah, you could tell. It looked like Kevin Durant's Achilles.
But that and just Kansas' size and the speed they play at, I think, would trump Villanova. And then I'm taking Duke over North Carolina.
Yep, I got the same. I don't see any scenario where Duke doesn't win, especially after what happened at Cameron to end the season. Yeah, they're playing well. They're too deep, too talented.
They beat them bad at North Carolina. Lost the last game at Cameron for Coach K. And, I mean, it's not a Cinderella story, but it kind of is if he gets there and if Duke does win it. It wasn't like he is going to win and then retire, like it was known that he was going to retire, and this is his last ride. So if he goes out as a winner, I mean, depth-wise, though, I mean, I don't think Joey Baker has seen the court this entire tournament. They played, what would you say his first name? Bates Jones.
Yeah.
Played him. He came in, shot 2 threes back-to-back on the same possession, missed both of them, was instantly taken out. I think he got a foul when it came back down the court, and they took him out.
Bad, yeah, he's bad.
Other than that, it's just been Keels and Theo John coming off the bench. And Joey Baker, I believe he's a junior or a COVID senior, so he still has another year of eligibility. And one of their best shooters, and he hasn't even been playing.
Yep. Not ideal, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine without him. We'll see how that goes. We'll be back next week for number 58, first one of April. Big MLB preview, the whole deal there. That'll be exciting. So we'll see what goes down. And, yeah, that'll do for us. Lots to cover next week. And